Hey there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back. I'm your host, PattSun, and today we're gonna be taking a look at r/ProRevenge, where OP gave karma a little push. Let's begin. My girlfriend of 3 years that is obsessively in love with me cheats and ends it with no reason. Posted by Reddit user Hefty South.
So I've been dating this girl for 3 years. We live together, share bank accounts, planned our future kids, wedding, rings, etc. Throughout our relationship, I have solely been the breadwinner, as she can't hold down a job, which I didn't mind because I loved her and she was super in love with me. Like crazy, she would keep my toenails in a jar that she sucked and nibbled off.
Red flag!
After an operation I had, she'd keep a piece of my flesh and proceeded to eat it. She tried to eat it in front of me in the hospital, and I made her stop, and the next day she lost it.
Is that also a red flag?
Crimson.
We all know she ate it, and many more like that, but I don't want to bore you. Anyway, her parents were in some financial distress as usual, with their drinking and smoking addiction they can't afford. But her dad decided he didn't want to work anymore, borrowing $10,000 from other siblings for missed mortgage payments that just went on booze and cigarettes and the rest. I helped out with money and cigarettes once in a while, but I am already supporting their daughter. After setting some financial goals with my, at the time, partner, she decides if she gets a job, we can reach our goals a lot early. So, I wrote her a CV and away she goes. I have in the past gotten her every job she has ever had after she picks, and this time she chose deep sea fishing. Away on the sea for 3 months. Now I really asked her if this is what she wants, and she assures me it is. So after $3,000 of expenses in flights, clothes, and everything else, she is off, calling me 3 times a day, talking heaps at the start, as she is surrounded by strangers. I help her feel more settled. Later, she is feeling more a part of the team and calls once a day, which I think is normal. After 2 months, she goes quiet, not answering calls or calling for 2 days, and normally she calls me nonstop. If I miss a call, she proceeds to call me on every app and number. Normally I miss because I'm in the bathroom and my phone's on charge after work, but don't think much, as she is probably making friends, etc. Thus, is when a bookshelf of a text comes in. She says, "We are done. I feel trapped in this relationship and it's all your fault, etc." I would just like to state that she was the only one putting on the pressure for kids, wedding, all the things that would make you feel trapped before, and literally last week, which I was in for, but just not pushing. I had to read the message about 20 times because I couldn't believe it. I call her via video, and she was so cold towards me, like I was a stranger that had extremely wronged her. I said, "I don't know who this is, but I would like to speak to my loving partner." Before my eyes, she snapped back, and we had a civil conversation where I made her laugh as usual. Then she said that she is done. Obviously, I wanted more info, as she was begging to get married as soon as she got back. She said, "I just don't love you anymore," and turned her head, and on her neck I saw a hickey, which is obvious. I pressed her on it, and she said she is in love. Now this hit hard, so confused and hurt I hung up. This is the girl that had decided to build a relationship through Christ and have a baptism upcoming and wanted me to join her. We had decided this trip would assist us in her goal of waiting until marriage as well, to do a full 180 and have sex with almost a complete stranger, purposefully, and kick me to the curb. Now, I don't think I'm model material, but I'm 6'1", good build, and naturally tanned. She was trying to get me to do model shoots, but I am too shy for that. This is where it gets messed up. I send her a well-write-out letter because we were also best friends. We would do everything together, like everything. So in the letter, I was pouring my heart out and just asking if she was okay. I'm thinking something bad happened and she has Stockholm Syndrome or something, but obviously I didn't say that. I got a 4-word answer, which read, "Thanks for the pray." Then I was immediately blocked me on everything. I've been an absolute mess for the past 3 weeks, and I don't know what to do. On one hand, I'm glad it happened before we got married. If she didn't go, would it have been happily ever after? Is this the part where I cut up her clothes for closure? Did I dodge a bullet? I am just really lost and don't know what to make of the situation. Please help.
Dodged a bullet? Are you serious? OP, you damn donut. She quite literally consumed your flesh and you're worried that you lost a good woman after she cheated on you? You dodged a tactical nuke. You should be on your hands and knees thanking God that this happened to you now before you actually married the psychopath. And now for today's second story. You slept with my girlfriend? Then you better watch your back. Posted by a deleted Reddit account.
Full disclosure, this isn't my story. It happened to a friend of mine who lives in the USA a long time ago, so dialogue isn't exact. He gave me permission to post it on Reddit. For ease of writing, I'll write it as if it happened to me. Due to the nature of the story, some details have been changed. Cast is me, a friend. Karen, my girlfriend, had a powder addiction but was clean for 2 years, important for later. Jill, business owner. Jake, old friend, asshole of the story. I live with my GF Karen and my old grade school friend Jake, who is working as a sales rep. We live on the outskirts of a well-known city in the States. I was in my late 20s. I found myself looking for work as a bar I was working at closed down. Knowing I was desperate for work, Jake calls me and tells me his new GF Jill just purchased a motel and bar with a small kitchen, and she is after hired help. Needless to say, I jump at the opportunity. As Karen wasn't working, the bills were piling up, and our health insurance was due. I called Jill, arranged to meet her at her new property to introduce myself. Jake made the introductions in person and had already told Jill I was hands-on DIY person with hospitality experience. Now to explain, my dad is a Sparky and believes if you can pay someone to fix something, you could probably do it cheaper yourself. He taught me lots and still does to this day. After a 30-minute chat, Jill tested me with a few odd jobs like rewiring an outlet, fixing a clogged sink, and quizzed me on liquor laws. Needless to say, I was hired that day. Originally, work was all about getting the property ready for business. Jill thought it would have been minor works, paint, replacement of fixings and furniture. We soon found out the electrical wires were shot. The whole place needed rewiring, which was a cause of stress for Jill, as it would have blown her budget. Lucky for Jill, my dad was between contracts and offered his services using leftover stock already paid for from other jobs. Jill would need to cover the cost of any new product required. As for labor, his payment, he said he enjoys a steak and beer on Friday nights. After 3 weeks of helping Dad, the wiring was done, was up to code, and at a fraction of the cost. Jill and I spent 1 to 2 months painting all 15 motel rooms, bistro, bar, cleaning the kitchen, cool rooms, etc. Jake would offer to help, but always left after 20 minutes saying he has to make a sale. Jill often worked well into the night. After all, this was her dream. I'd take some furniture home to restore after hours and return it once restored. Business opened up after 6 months, and thanks to Dad, opened under budget. Jill managed the business and ran the kitchen. I worked where I was needed. In the kitchen, on the bar, tending to maintenance. I was on salary, second in charge, and could work in any position. Things went smoothly for a year. Business was turning a profit. Dad was getting his weekly beer and steak. Karen seemed happy. Jake was still working as a sales rep for a pharmaceutical company. One day, I felt crook at work, so I clocked off and went home early. Pulling into my driveway, with the exception of a turning gut, things felt normal. Jake's car was there, but he lived there, so I didn't think anything was wrong. As usual, I parked behind Jake, important for later. When I opened the door, I found Karen doing the reverse cowgirl with Jake on the couch. After seeing me, Jake grabbed his pants and ran out through the back door. Karen and I argued into the night. She tried blaming me, saying, "I'm never home. I'm spending too much time with Jill. We were keeping things professional. I was her employee." I went to bed and told her she can sleep in Jake's bed as she clearly finds it more comfortable. I called Jill and informed her of this as Jake was her boyfriend. She was upset as he cheated on her, but admitted she suspected he was seeing someone else. Jill offered me a room at the motel until I figure out my next move. The next day, I loaded my personal effects in the truck. Jake's car was still there, as I had blocked it in. I told Karen she can keep the rental and the furniture. I told Karen I'd be back for my tools in a few hours, and I would appreciate if she wasn't there. I went home that afternoon to load my tools into my truck. While I was grabbing something from under my workbench, I found a bag I wasn't familiar with. Upon closer inspection, I found a large quantity of little tablets. The way they were packed and hidden made me realize they were probably ecstasy. A thorough search of the house led to me finding 2 more bags and about $12,000 in cash. I put 2 and 2 together and realized that Jake's pharmaceutical sales job was code for dealer, and Jake probably traded pills to Karen for sex. I was beyond angry until I realized that I have all I need to get him back. The revenge. Jake's car still hadn't moved. I went inside and grabbed his spare keys, chucked on a pair of gloves that were in the garage. I put half the money and one bag of drugs in his boot and thought, hang on, this won't pass. I removed his spare tire from the wheel well and put the bag in there. The other 2 bags, I threw them down the storm drain in the laneway behind my house. As for the $6K cash, Jake did cost me a house full of furniture, just saying. I sent a message to both Jake and Karen with the typical hurt script. I can't believe you did this. We were friends, blah, blah, blah. I've left. I hope you two are happy together. I then made an anonymous tip to the local police and ATF about a man fitting Jake's description, loading what looks like drugs into the boot of a car that sounded like Jake's car, and provided a partial plate number that matched Jake's car. It didn't take long for law enforcement to find the car and locate the drugs. What I wasn't counting on is Karen was driving the car at the time. She was later released when they found out she was driving the wrong car at the wrong time. A warrant went out for Jake's arrest. The icing on the cake, I found out later that not only was the police after Jake, his supplier was, as well as he lost a lot of products. Fast forward 3 months, I purchased a house. I was still working with Jill. Karen was pregnant with Jake's baby, and he was on the run. I suspected she was keeping contact with Jake because she suddenly left the district when she was 8 months pregnant. 12 months after the incident, after a drunken night, Jill and I mixed businessness with pleasure and started dating. That was 10 years ago. We are married, have 2 children, and just opened our 3rd business. Dad still gets his weekly steak and beer. I did hear a rumor that Jake and Karen wound up in Alaska, but can't confirm this. I do feel a little bad about it now, because Jake made it possible for me to date Jill and live a wonderful life. I do hope he is well. TLDR, best friend sleeps with my girlfriend. He now has police and gangs chasing him. Edit, my friend clarified why his dad did such a good deal for the electrical work. Apparently, he had a large contract canceled due to bankruptcy. After the contract, paid a sizable non-refundable deposit, which he uses for supplies. Basically, he had the materials already on hand, and a few weeks suddenly free up. A++ gentleman.
This is actually a very, very entertaining read. The only thing that I don't appreciate is dumping the drugs into the storm drain. This could actually lead to contaminating the water around you. It's a complete waste. I mean, it's bad for the environment, my man. Yeah, that's what I meant. Viewer support is the best way for me to remain independent and continue bringing you these daily videos, which will always be here on my channels for you to watch absolutely free. So please consider subscribing to me on Rumble and on YouTube. Both will be linked in the description box down below. Thanks for listening, everyone. If you even somewhat enjoyed today's story, make sure to give this video a thumbs up, and if you really like it, consider subscribing to PattSun to never miss a future upload. Stay strong.